Those are the two costs I wish I had known when I purchased my property. Hi guys, welcome to yet another video. I'm Vuyokazi, and as you would have seen by today's video title, we are talking buying a house. But before we get any further, please don't forget to like this video, give it a thumbs up if you like it and you find it informative. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that I can bring you much more content that is relevant and start conversations that work for all of us. Where do I even start? So always wanted to have like a house or a place I can call my own, but I couldn't really do that because I was still in Cape Town at the time before like buying the apartment. I was still in Cape Town, and buying a house and just moving out of home was a conversation that would never have happened, because why am I moving out? Home offers me everything that I need. Like it's a great security. I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to pay a bond. I didn't even have to worry about those things. But how it actually started for me, I started by looking at my affordability. So I looked at how much can the bank borrow me and how much can I afford as Vuyokazi into buying an apartment. Little did I know that it's not just the bond costs that matter. There's a lot more, but it's fine. I started looking around. I started looking at RDP houses. What do they call RDP? I think I'll just put the full name of it. I started looking at RDP houses back when I was still in Cape Town. I think they were ranging from about 150 around Khayelitsha, and I thought, okay, you know what, I don't necessarily have to stay in it, because some of the areas where I saw RDP houses, it was just areas that I knew that I just wouldn't stay there. But I was so excited. Like, I read an article that was like, buy a house in your 20s and you won't regret it. I'm not regretting it though. At some point I thought, okay, you know what, taking out a personal loan would be the best thing. High interest, but would be the best thing because it's a shorter payment term, like 5 years, and then I would be done paying off and the house would be mine, and then I could start looking at doing renovations here and there, extending the house, because it was quite a matchbox. I'm not sure if you're familiar with RDP houses. I'll try and insert a snippet of it here so that you sort of see like the ideation of an RDP house and how small it is and why it sort of costs 150k plus. So like I went and viewed like after work, I've got a twin brother, and my twin brother would drive me around, and then I'd go and view these apartments. So basically it would just be like a square shaped, you enter, but it depends on the area and it depends on the project of that type of area. So you enter, and on your left would be the kitchen, and then it's the lounge, like open plan everything, and then there would be the bedroom. So it would most probably be a one bed with a toilet, just a toilet and hand washing basin. That's more or less how big it would be. Like it's proper, like a couple of steps walking distance. But one of the other houses that I had so much interest in, the guy just started inflating the price because he wanted to buy another property. I was just like, Kaloksan, not me, you can't do that to me. So I stopped, but I still looked at how much the bank could offer me. And I could sort of afford it if I took out a personal loan to pay it off once and for all. So I know, okay, I owe the bank, the house won't be repossessed or anything should the unforeseen circumstances happen. 2 years later, I then moved to Johannesburg, which led to me entering the rental, is it rental market? Sounds like I own property. But which then led to me starting every month I'd get like, it's not an income statement, but like I would get a receipt that shows all the monies that I've paid into the company that I was renting from. So it will show from the deposit, like it would be the deposit amount, how much I've paid for that month. Like each and every month would show the rental amount that I would have been paying. Not forgetting that I'm also paying for electricity and the water of the apartment because it wasn't covered through the rent income. Fine, like I mean, that's generic cost that people incur when they're renting. I think 2 months or 3 months into it, and because I was already in market for rentals to rent within Midrand, I then, like, I actually still had the app. I didn't re-download the app after my friend was looking for a place. So I kept every now and then going into the app, looking at, okay, where else can I rent? Because it was quite a standard apartment. It was a good space for me because that's all I needed. And it worked for me. Like I did everything that I wanted to do within that space. And it was affordable and very centralized. It was close to the taxi rank. Because I took a taxi every day to work. What was great is that I didn't have to take revenge. Guys, revenge and I Kobela primary. Like, well, now they've got the Mercedes Venture, but again, the then Toyota Venture, there's so much of them. It's like a scrapyard here in Midrand. So like I moved to that specific area because I didn't want to be taking a venture and then get to the taxi rank. So the taxi rank was a walking distance for me. The Gautrain, like everything, anything that I needed that was basic. Even a Chinatown so that I can buy a few things that I needed for the apartment. Like it was in close proximity. But again, that's besides the point. Let me not explain to you my rental life. So I think it was in March. I continued, like I started this interest of, you know what, I can't be paying rent. Every month I see like deposit, rental. So I was just like, I kept on looking because at the bottom it will show how much I've paid towards this company in total, and that will freak me out. So then I thought, okay, you know what, let me again revisit the bank. So I then changed banks like 2 years prior to me moving to, I think a year prior to moving to Joburg. I changed banks because remember, I wanted to buy a house, but still I needed to build the income for me to be able to afford and purchase a house. So moving to another bank would help me because the previous bank that I had, which was Capitec, at the time didn't offer home loans, and I think now that they offer home loans, it's through a third party, but it's SA Home Loans. But again, that's besides the point. So I switched to one of the most prominent banks that are known to South Africa because one, it offered me a credit, a check card, and in the long run, 6 months later, I would be able to then look into applying for a home loan, which was great for me because I mean, it's an ongoing process. It's not like you wake up today and then you want to buy a house. Fine. Fast forward to Johannesburg. So my renting life was very short-lived because I rented for like 5.5 full months. It was a 6-month term, but within that 6 months, I had already decided, you know what, I want my own space so that I can hang things. Well, I still haven't hanged anything in this house, but it's besides the point. So I want to hang things. I want to create, and I want to put my my personality into the space that I live in. And plus, I was just like, if I can afford to pay this much in rent, I might as well pay it in bond cost and have a place of my own. And if ever I move back to Cape Town, I can always rent out the apartment or sell it. Fine. Bought the apartment, bank approved. Well, I had already known my affordability, bank approved. Fast forward May, I signed with the lawyers, with the transferring attorneys actually. I signed, and then a month later I told them that, listen, by this particular time I need to have had the house under my name because my lease expires and I don't plan on renewing my lease. Sorry. I don't plan on renewing my lease. Fine. I mean, The transferring attorney adhered to my request and ensured that it's fast tracked. And luckily, it was close to month end, so they had to meet targets. So she ensured that she submits on time so that in the next month everything gets pushed through for submission. Fine, like all of that is fine. So let's talk about the buying process. So I actually I didn't do a lot of research in terms of looking at what other developers are offering. But before we get to developers, how I sort of decided that I wanted to buy. So first I looked at what is required of me. Do I need to pay transfer fees? Is there a way of me not paying transfer fees? So that's like one of the first costs people sort of not notice when trying to buy a house. And remember, I do not offer financial advice. I'm just talking about my experience and things I wish I knew prior to purchasing my apartment. So I looked at those, and luckily I found a development, and they were still building at the time. I compared to some were like 100k or 50k less than the apartment that I ended up buying, and like a smaller space and one bed or bachelor. I was just like, no ways, no, I need to maximize. So I was just like, you know what, I'd rather live a distance away from the city center than paying 100k more than I should on a one bed apartment. I mean, I'm a family person. I've got my mom. I want my mom to visit, so I was just like, no, there's no way that I'll constantly be sleeping on the same bed with my mom or my nieces and nephews when they do visit me. So I was like, okay, and it's actually kind of nice, that thing of having two beds, because you can always store your other items in the other bedroom. So those were the things that I was looking at. Fine. I then approached the developer, came through for viewing, explained everything. But luckily for me, the things that they explained, I had already done my research with how much interest, more or less interest rate I will get, which was based on my score. My credit score. I had a very good credit score. It was fairly good for me because I didn't really take out any credit in my life. The only accounts I had was a cell phone contract. I opened a clothing store account, of which I didn't really use, and I ensured that my payment term was within 6 months. So I ensured that if I bought something, even if I bought like as small as a mascara or foundation, I'd pay it off within that set period so that I can create that credit scoring record for myself. Fine, that's another topic for another day. So I approached the developer, signed the OTP over time after looking and seeing whether I liked the apartment, and I loved it at the time. I still love it actually. I loved it. So it ensured that they submitted to all the banks so that I can have a competitive rate. Some of the banks gave me prime plus 1, prime plus 0.75, and at the time my bank gave me prime plus 0.25, and I think prime was like 10% or 10.2, I'm not sure. So that's more or less how much I got, and like it wasn't crazy because guys, interest rate is scary. Some people have gotten like 13%. So at least for me, it's one thing that I looked at, because first I looked at my spending patterns and I looked at where my money goes, and I looked at how much disposable income I have left over after everything. So those are the things that sort of drove me to knowing that I can afford. And also I looked on my banking app. I did an affordability scoring, and I also went into the branch, so sort of ensure that I'm starting the process of I'm looking for a house, and how much can I really afford. Great. So I had that at the back of my mind. So I also ensured, another thing that I ensured is that I don't take out a home loan that maxes the amount the bank is willing to offer me. One, I didn't want to be now maxing out my affordability and paying so much more because I was thinking of buying a car at the time. So I was like, okay, I'll move, and then I'll look into purchasing a car so that I can be able to move around, because it's not much of a public transport friendly area. So comes to now getting the apartment under my name. So like that whole process, I didn't facilitate it. The transferring attorneys facilitated that process. And right after receiving the email confirming, but okay, Vuyokazi, this apartment has been transferred under your name from developer to your name. Great. Do I not get an email from the developer telling me that I need to pay levies? Guys, when I signed that OTP, nothing, and I mean nothing, made me think of levies. But well, later on, as the process of purchasing the apartment, they sent me documents which at my own leisure time I started reading through so that I can understand what am I getting myself into and what cost would I incur. But guys, initially when I started the home purchasing process, I didn't look into levies, rates and taxes. So they send me an email saying the body corporate sends through an email that I need to pay, and I was just like, but I haven't started staying at that apartment. How am I paying? And the lady was like, well, it's transferred to your name. I think it was transferred around the 25th or 27th of the month, and they calculated to pay. So like, I was so sad. So found myself now having to pay. Fine, I paid, and then I moved. I think a few weeks later, then I moved to the apartment as my lease was also expiring. I think I moved just before my lease expired. I had just paid rent, and then I decided, you know what, might as well move all my things and come and stay in my new apartment. Later on, I started reading through all the documents that were sent throughout the purchase period. I learned that I need to go register the apartment under my name with well, it's already registered, but with regards to City of Joburg rates and taxes, so that I ensure that I pay my rates and taxes and not wake up one day and I owe City of Joburg. Fine, done this thing themselves, like the developer should have, and the transferring attorneys should have ensured that they administer that whole process. Fine, guys, as colors. So like it's actually an interesting thing, like to sort of go through so that you understand what you're paying for, because they explain to you why are you paying the rates and tax. Then, guys, if you are renting, continue renting. Fine, okay, that cost. So it meant now I'm paying, let's just say for argument's sake, I'm paying 5,000 on the bond. I'm paying 5,000 on a bond, and there's like another 950 I'm paying on levies to ensure that there's security and the grass is green and the lights are switching on outside, even in the parking lot. So that's what that 900, and administration of the complex as well. And then there's like 400 rand that I need to pay to municipality to ensure that they come and pick up the bin and the sewage and everything in the area, and actually tax on the property that I own. So let's just, for argument's sake, say it's 5,000 plus 950 plus 400. So that 1.350 or 1.4, I didn't budget for that. I thought, you know what, it's going to be money to buy groceries or something. So that's one, like those are the two costs I wish I had known when I purchased mine. It's fine, like it was fine because I could still afford it. I can still afford it. So it was within my means. So it's not like it came at a shock. Now I'm living on pap and cabbage every day or something. Like, I'm not saying pap and cabbage is not a proper meal, but now I can't eat meat or something, or I need to cut down. But had I known about it prior, I think I would have taken more time into buying the apartment or looking at sort of increasing my income like I did prior to purchasing. So I ensured that I'm looking at ways of how do I ensure that my income increases so that I can be able to afford to own and purchase a house. Buying a house is not exciting. Well, it's exciting because I mean it teaches you to be more responsible, not to forget. Actually, as the sale was continuing, I learned that I needed to have a life cover and also take out a life cover that pays out equals to or more than what I would be owing the bank. So ensures that should anything happen to me, I pray that nothing happens. Should anything happen to me, then my insurer will then cover the costs owed to the bank by me. Did my bank not just insert their own insurance? Guys, their insurance was like 750, and like it doesn't look at age, it doesn't look at health, it doesn't look at anything, it doesn't do any test prior to pricing. Like they didn't even ask me questions, they just were like, okay, this is the risk, this is how much Vuyo will pay. I don't know, like I don't know how pricing works. So those are the things that they did, and I was just like, you want 750 on top of this 5,000 I'm paying? As you know what, I could be saving like a whole 400 rand, just pay 300 and something with my current insurer. So I took out my life cover with my insurer. So those are the things that I wish we were taught at school. That when you buy into a sectional title, oh, actually I bought into a sectional title. But when you buy into a sectional title, you'll be paying the bank, or if you buy it cash, then you won't be paying anyone. You'd be paying the bank or your financer. You'd be paying levies of the sectional title, like sectional property. You'll be paying rates and taxes. And you need to ensure that you've got life cover that you pay should anything happen to you. So like, apart from the bond cost, which is like the biggest piece of the pie, there was like these other things paying for that I'm just like, but why are you breaking? Like everything that has to do with the property, you need to pay for it yourself. But like those are the costs that I wish I was told when I was 15. Not to forget, another thing that I wish I had done prior to purchasing my property. Saving up for a deposit, I mean, it helps a lot. It lowers your principal amount borrowed from the bank. So if you can, start saving for your deposit. And if you want to buy a standalone house, maybe a pre-owned house, start saving for your transfer fees. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I hope you found the video insightful. Thank you very much for watching this far. Please don't forget to like, comment down below. Let me know what costs surprised you if you've bought property that like you didn't think of prior to purchasing your property. Also, let me know how are you working towards saving for that deposit, for that transfer fees. I don't offer financial advice, but it's a great conversation to have and to also ensure that we all try and look into ensuring that all the costs that we are putting ourselves into are costs that we are willing and also able to pay, because it's rough, guys, and interest rates are no child's play. Thank you very much for watching the video thus far. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're taking something away from it. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe onto the channel so that you can see more of these videos and can continue renting. No, it's not an advice.